Hello, everyone. It's Mike, and I'm having self-image issues at the moment. Sorry, didn't mean to turn this into a confessional. I'm just trying to be transparent. If I seem a little like I'm checking myself out in the camera, like I don't particularly like the way that this half of my face is shaded, and just having some issues with my appearance right now. But we're going to talk about birds today. This this episode is for the birds. I'll go ahead and get my terrible dad joke pun out of the way. And why are we talking about birds? Well, I had an unexpected moment of very small scale virality over the weekend. I posted a brief video on Facebook, and they, unbeknownst to me, turned it into a reel. I guess that's just sort of the way they classify things and route things in their system. So my video became a reel, and my reel got over 200 views. Now I know that's like a very low viewership count, but I'm used to things being in the single digits for anything that I post. If I say that I want $1 million, I'll probably get 30 likes out of that. So a bird video getting over 200 views was really something for me. And it was a particularly interesting video. I just thought that this little bird was cute. I was having breakfast on a little terrace outside of a coffee shop, and this little bird kept darting in and out from under the table I was sitting next to. And you could tell that, or I pretty much assumed that, it seemed obvious to me that the little bird would catch sight of me and get scared and run back. But if by the second time he knew I was there and permanently there, I'm pretty sure birds are smart enough to understand the concept of object permanence, the whole peekaboo thing with kids that behaviorists have identified as like a mark of intelligence or brain development or whatever. I think the little bird knew I was still there, but it felt to me like he was building up his courage to go back out, and so he could peck away at the ground and get whatever little morsels were there, but also within the line of sight of this tall, towering human. And I just thought it was cute, so I captured a minute of video of him darting in and out, and posted it. And I let off my caption of the post, or my description of the post, with the somewhat provocative thesis that I don't particularly like birds. So that's what this video is about. This is about me and why I don't like birds, and how I could learn to like them better or more in the future, and to sort of juxtapose that with some other observations. So, number one, why I don't like birds. Ultimately, I don't know why I don't like birds. I think it's anything I say about why I don't like birds is more or less a rationalization of this almost innate kind of revulsion is too like strong of a word, but there's an innate sort of like, no, I'm good, I get that thing away from me type of feeling when it comes to birds. There's just something kind of baked into the way my brain works at this point. I don't know if it happened when I was a young child. I don't know if it's something that's in my biology. I don't know. I just have an automatically bristly reaction to birds, and so I can tell you why from a ex post facto rationalization standpoint. But in terms of like the real why, I'm just going to profess ignorance on that. So why I'm going to tell you I dislike birds is, here are the things that make me creeped out by them. Number one, they don't seem human. I have a hard time humanizing them. Even like birds like parrots that are actually speaking English to me, there's a certain level of detachment about them that kind of creeps me out. Part of this, I think, is because of structurally, like the way that they're built. They have a very rigid face structure. Whatever emotions they may be having, it's impossible to like discern what those are. So I don't like anything that looks at me stone faced and I can't tell what's going on with them. Like they could just as easily be really really friendly, or they could be about to kill me, uh, or attempt to kill me in the case of smaller birds. And I never feel like I would understand the difference. It's sort of like the same thing that makes Miranda Priestley scary. You think she's being level-headed and even with you, but she really is about to completely cut you down and remove you from the office and make sure you never work again in the industry. That sort of, and I was actually doing a reaction video on my other channel where I said the same thing about like the tone of a song, and when the person singing the song seems detached from what the lyrics would suggest they should be feeling, it can bring this sort of dissonant effect. And so to me, I feel like birds are living, feeling creatures, but I can't tell. They look like little robots to me, like the way that their rigid facial structure and the jerky movements. To me, it makes them seem like robots. It makes them like my context for what a feeling sentient being is supposed to be like is mammalian and primate centered, and so for me, like I get that there are ways of reading bird behavior, and sometimes birds, from what I've seen, do things that are very cute. I've seen baby chicks, and I've seen various birds that are uh, very well acclimated to their owners, uh, do things which seem overtly affectionate, or where I can tell that there's a little heart and soul in there, like But by default, birds don't act like that, and that's really the main thing about it. There's also just certain aspects of what they look like that suggest other creepier things. As has been repeated over and over again, from an evolutionary perspective, birds are the closest living relatives of dinosaurs. And dinosaurs, as popular as they are not known to be cuddly. They're meant to be a little monstrous, or a lot monstrous. There's those reptilian, actually post-reptilian legs that are, if anything, even less warm and fuzzy than like a lizard's legs. Bird legs are not something that I think is designed to imprint upon our brains as humans as a positive thing, and probably because of what they can do to you with their claws, it's probably a good evolutionary response to birds. Just spitballing. I'm not in any way a biologist or anything like that, but so there's a lot of stuff, and the beaks look like they could really hurt, and I know that they can. Not to mention that birds, of course, like to fly around and poop on things. So it's just, it's not that they like to do it. It's just they're flying. To them the air is home. So it doesn't make any difference to them. It's like, I don't feel like they're being malicious necessarily, although certain birds who are smarter probably are doing it maliciously. But regardless, I don't like living creatures that make a habit out of flinging excrement in a passive or active way. And this is, even though this may be seen as passive and more or less subject to gravity, I still don't like the practice. So I feel better. Now I've vented about why I don't like birds. Now, I could be persuaded though, because I do like animals in general, and I do, despite my reservations, count birds as animals. The thing is, I'm very much a mammal person. I also am not overly fond of reptiles. There are some reptiles that my partner keeps, and they are in a room in our house, and I'll go in occasionally, or sometimes I have to if he's out of town and I need to feed them. And I do talk to them, and I do feel like, okay, I could become friends with one of these guys, but it's not something I'm drawn to do, and it's something I kind of have to, where I have to kind of force the behavior. Even turtles, who are, among the most unassuming of reptiles, I still don't have that kind of warm and fuzzy feeling for them. And, and as far as they're concerned, part of the reason I don't feel warm and fuzzy is because they're not warm and fuzzy. They're cold-blooded animals, and that, that creates a bit of distance because it's not, you know, I'm a bit of a mammalian chauvinist. I like hanging out with my fellow mammals, cats and dogs, and I was about to say bunny rabbits. I've never hung out with a bunny rabbit, but I imagine that I would enjoy that. So, but if I spent more time with birds and reptiles, for that matter, I'm sure I would like them more. And I would like a situation where there was a bird in our house, not one that I'm responsible for taking care of. I don't want the relationship that badly, but if there were a bird and it was in a common living space and I could get to know it, and if it were a communicative bird, if it could we could talk to each other, verbally, non-verbally, semi-verbally, whatever you want to call the mimicking that certain birds are able to do. I'm sure I could get very attached to those lovely little creatures. So I'm keeping the door open. Maybe someday. But I guess I also wanted to explore two other quick little things related to this. Now, anybody who knows me knows I love cats. So I like cats so much that I have imagined that I have certain cat-like origins, like in a prior life I was a cat, or there's a certain metaphysical resonance between me and the cats. I'm going to completely put this in quotation marks because of the cultural specificity of this, but when people talk about spirit animals, like I really kind of feel something different when it comes to cats. Like, I'm a very cautious person, and just about any strange animal that you show to me, or that this shows itself to me, I'm going to be naturally very cautious and treat it as a dangerous stranger, and not necessarily reflexively welcome it, or call it over or anything like that. Dogs in particular, like, I love dogs, but I also do not trust any dog unless I know it personally. They can be really vicious if they decide that they don't want you around, or they decide that you're not the type of person that they approve of. They can be really, really nasty, and so I do not trust them. Cats, however, I won't say never, because sometimes there's just outliers who are just like, furthest outlier I can think of is if the cat was like rabid or something. But almost all of the time, almost any cat I see anywhere, I automatically am drawn to the cat. I do not feel threatened by the cat. I'm under no illusion that the cat is necessarily safe just because it's a cat. I know that certain felines are quite dangerous and can be unhinged and can be temperamental, and I could be in danger. However, I never feel that from them. Like, even when I've been, even with cats that I know can be aggressive under certain circumstances, and even knowing that I could maybe get scratched by them. Now, from a purely, I don't want to feel pain standpoint, I may push the animal away and say, "Get away from me. I know you're probably about to scratch me," but I still never feel like I'm in any danger. I always feel like I'm sharing that space with that creature, and I don't feel threatened by it. So, and that's just, I could have just said that a lot more concisely by saying, if I walk by on the street and see a stray cat standing there, I never feel threatened. I always say hi to the cat, and I always hope that I can get a little bit of recognition from it. I don't ever feel scared by seeing a cat out in the world. And let me clarify, house cat. I was trying to do this scientific name, but I'm not sure I know what it is. But definitely house cats. Now, if I saw a leopard or a tiger or a bobcat, it would certainly be a different story, mostly because I'm conditioned to, or I know intellectually that they can be dangerous, and I'm going to use my intellect and not my feelings at that point to guide what my reaction is. So, and I guess part of me bringing that up was just because I like talking about cats, so why not bring cats into the conversation? The other aspect of that is because I'm a cat person, it sort of makes sense that I don't like birds. I'm on the cat's side in the whole cat-bird animosity thing, even though clearly the cats are the ones hurting and killing the birds in almost every single instance. So that's a little bit of mental gymnastics to get me there. But yes, I do kind of take the cat side. Birds are annoying, and I can also vouch for the fact that they're tasty. So I can't really blame the cats too much. And my final thought on the cats and birds and me and my family is that my mother was very turned off by cats, very squeamish around cats. I remember that she used to say that, and so I never had a cat as a child. It was a very long time before I had a close relationship with a cat, and it was largely my mom's fault because she just was not having it. She was not going to have a cat. She didn't trust him. I remember her saying that she thought it was incredibly disgusting how their skin was so like loose, detached from the rest of their body, and that they could just sort of like, move around in such a flexible way, and that their skin, like, I forget exactly how she put it, but it was something about the elasticity of their skin and how they moved around in that. And I can see I can see that from her perspective. I can see how that would creep her out. And if you're not familiar with cats, they do sneak around and run up on you and try to surprise you, and I get all that. And I mean, it's just a point of comparison. Like, the way my mother feels about cats is kind of how I feel about birds. So, I mean, there's not really too much more to that. I'm not going to pretend like I have some well-developed line of thought that connects those two facts, but just sort of throwing it out there. So I think that's everything I have to say about birds for today. The things I have to say about birds largely relate to cats. I mean, big surprise there, right? So yeah, I really thought this was going to be a short video. Like, I didn't think I could, run on and on about the way I feel towards animals, but I guess I should have known better. So that's been this episode. Wait for the next one, but don't hold your breath, because you probably won't be able to. Talk soon.